Good morning, lady bosses. Happy Tuesday. It's so funny. Last Tuesday I got on and I said, boy, if you're in Southeast Pennsylvania, it is such a beautiful day. Well, I was out in the morning and it was a beautiful day, but then I came home and I got in my office and closed all my curtains and stuff. When I was finished to open my curtains, it was raining and miserable. It was a riot. So today, before I closed my curtains, it was kind of a rainy, miserable day. So might be the kind of day where you just want to curl up and snooze a little bit or just relax a little bit. And that's going to tie right into our topic. Hey, Rachie, can always count on you being here first thing. Thank you. So anyway, we'll wait another minute and see. Somebody else is on. Good morning. See who it is. I hate the lag. There's a little bit of a lag. So if you write a comment, if you jump on, it takes a little while for me to realize you're here. Hey, Bunny, how are you today? Good to see you, lady. Ciao bella. Buongiorno. I love talking Italian to Bunny. She's fluent Spanish. I think, are you fluent Italian too, Bunny? I don't know. You're just, you know, you are so smart. You know so many things. I wouldn't be surprised if you're fluent in about 5 languages. But that's awesome. Okay. And then just like that, there are 4. Okay, let's get started. This is awesome. Good morning. I see Linda and I see Jackie. Good morning, ladies. And I see Darlene and I see Linda again. Linda just popped up again. And I see Linda and Linda. We have 2 Lindas, spelled differently, but they're both here. Okay, ladies, listen, I was looking through some old polls that I did in the group where I was asking for some ideas for what kind of things you wanted to hear about. And way a long time ago, somebody said, I think the way they phrased it was like unplugging from the chaos and just like catching my breath, taking care of myself. So I thought, you know what, we've touched on that, but we haven't like really, you know, we didn't really dive in and go deep. Good morning, everybody. So nice to see you all. So anyway, today we're going to talk about self-care. And I don't have to tell you how important it is. I'm not going to go on and on about how important it is, but you know that if you're not taking care of yourself, you are not going to bring your A game to any area of your life. You're not going to be any good in your relationships. You're not going to be any good in your business. You're just not going to be any good to yourself. That's going to affect you mentally, emotionally, physically. You have to take care of yourself. I can't say enough how important that is. And you know what? While a lot of times that we touch on this, you know, women will say, well, I go for a massage once a month and I get my nails done every couple of weeks and all that. While that's all well and good, hey, Melissa, and it is a form of self-care, I'm talking about self-care on a daily basis. You can't just do this once a month or once every 2 weeks. And I want to talk about and explore and have you really think about how you can create and practice self-care on a daily basis in 6 areas of your life without spending any money. Because it's not all about spending money. It's not like, okay, emotionally for self-care, I'm going to go shopping every day. Or, you know, I'm going to get a massage once a month. Again, nothing wrong with any of that. But you need to be taking care of yourself on a daily basis. And we can't all be spending money in all these areas of our lives every single day. So we want to come up with some ideas of ways that you can really take care of yourself every single day. So in Googling this and looking for some extra information, there was one site that nailed it down to 6 different areas of self-care. So I want to go through each area and I want to talk about some different ways that you can, you know, practice self-care in those areas. And I really challenge you, if you're in a place where you can write things down, each area, I want you to write down something that would work for you, something you can do to practice self-care in that area, or something you're already doing. Because if you're already doing it, let's write it down and acknowledge it and celebrate it. You know, just personally, you don't have to tell us, but it'll make you feel good that, look, I am doing this already. So I know this is important and I am doing it, but you know, maybe in this area, I need to improve and do a little bit more. Okay. So area number 1 is emotional self-care. And there are probably 50,000 things you can do to promote your emotional self-care. A couple things that come to mind for me is, and a couple of them are big, is like really minimize your exposure to toxic people, to toxic situations, to toxic discussions. Really minimize that because that's going to go such a long way in you taking better care of yourself. If you have to, just turn off the freaking news. I just don't know any good anymore that comes out of the news. If there's something that goes on that you really need to know about, if your local schools are now quarantined and they're all shut down and not reopening until April, whatever, if you're not watching the news, guess what? You're going to find out. The school's going to let you know. There's nothing you don't see on Facebook, whether it's some catastrophe somewhere in the world or some, problem, a hurricane, a tornado, an earthquake, whatever. You'll hear about stuff. But I haven't been watching the news for a couple of years and I really haven't missed anything. But I'll tell you what, there are lots of mornings I'll come down. My husband will have news on and it just, oh my gosh, it just gets things stirred up and does me no good emotionally. It really doesn't. Just minimize your exposure to that. Just, and toxic situation and on social media. That's what I was thinking. It kind of slipped my mind for a second. But social media. If you've got friends who rant and rave about politics and, it makes me sad because I have friends on both sides of the fence and we have maintained our friendships and not slandered each other, not been hateful, not anything. But I have other friends who can't possibly acknowledge that somebody who doesn't think the same way they do is anything less than a total moron. And it's just, I don't know, it's just promoting hate and it's promoting all this intolerance and it's not a good thing. So when I see people, I don't care what side of the table they're on, even if they're on my side of the fence, I don't care. If they're spewing hateful, condemning things on Facebook, I hide them. You know what? You don't have to unfriend them because, you don't want to go through that and like, why did you unfriend me? That creates another whole drama that emotionally we don't need. But hide them. I can't tolerate that. So try to tolerate less hate, less intolerance. We just need to start caring about each other a little bit more and being a little more kind to each other. So when you see people not being kind and being the opposite, minimize your exposure to it. So, that's just a couple things. But I challenge you, write down, what can you do every single day to help yourself to be healthier emotionally? Okay, that's a couple ideas. Hey, good morning, Vina. So that's a couple ideas. The next area is practical. What are some practical things you can do to promote self-care? Probably a million things. It's hard to not come up with ideas that don't fall into other categories though. But in the one practical category is just maybe simplify your schedule. Just like don't overcommit. And we talk about this probably at least once a month. It touches on a conversation we're having about something else, but we talk about how we need to say no more, how we just say yes to too much. We just totally overburden ourselves, put way too much on our plate. And if you've got way too much on your plate, you're not going to do anything well. So why do anything? It's just going to frustrate you. It's going to tear you down. That's not in any way promoting self-care. So think of some other practical ways, but I challenge you, write down right now, either something you can do to be more practical, to take better care of yourself, or something you're already doing. Again, let's celebrate the things you're already doing because I know you're already doing a lot of this because you have to. Some of you are in business for yourself 100%. Some of you have full-time jobs with a company and you've got side hustles. And we've got families and friends and maybe places we volunteer and groups that we belong to in church and a million things going on in our lives. So to some degree, you already have to do this for survival. You have to limit it somewhere, but you could probably limit it a little more. You're probably still pushing the envelope a little bit too far and trying to do a little bit too much. So pull it back. Think about how you can simplify your schedule a little bit better. Another area of self-care, this is a big one, and it's physical. And listen, the busier you get with things, I know that it's easy to let that go and not take care of yourself physically because you're so busy, either taking care of everybody else, whether it's, people in your family or your employer or whatever it is that you're doing, you get busy with everything else and you don't take care of yourself. So try and think about ways that you can take care of yourself physically on a daily basis that aren't going to be so overwhelming or demanding that you're just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater a week from now because you think, why in the world did I put one more thing on my plate? If you don't have time to go to the gym every few days or every couple days for a couple hours, maybe you just can't do that. But the point is, don't do nothing because you can't do something this big. Just do something. I don't care if it's this big. Just do something. If you do nothing else, just make sure there's a glass of water on your desk all day or on your nightstand or your side table or wherever you are. Make sure you're hydrating. Try so hard to get a healthy night's sleep. I personally, that's like never a problem. If I wanted to sleep right now, sitting right on this stool, I could just close my eyes and fall asleep. It's like a baby. Put me in a car, forget it. In a vehicle, I'm out in 2 minutes. But I know it's a struggle for some people, either because they're busy, they can't turn their minds off, or for whatever reasons, they just can't sleep. Try and explore that. Try and figure out ways that you can get a healthy night's sleep, because that's really critical to your whole physical being. Are you real stressed out? Try and figure out how to deal with your stress. Simple ways to deal with your stress. Just get up and start punching a punching bag or punching the air, because physical activity, especially aggressive acting physical activity, will really help relieve your stress. Or if you want to do it in a much more calm way, just sit down and start taking slow, deep breaths for a couple minutes. A couple minutes is all it will take for you to start to feel that stress just like dribble right out the bottom of your feet. So start to learn how to deal with your stress. Your diet, don't get too busy that you can't eat. Don't get too busy that you can't plan to have healthy food to grab when you are eating, because if you do that, then you're going to get hangry, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to get upset about every little thing that goes wrong. And then when you do finally decide to grab something, you're just going to grab crap, because that's what you have. Like, okay, there's a box of Tasty Cakes down there, I'll just grab that because it sounds good, it looks good, I just don't have time to think about it. Make sure you make a plan. Have some healthy snacks stocked up so that if you do have to grab something, you're making a healthy choice. Again, if you can't exercise, do what you can do. A couple weeks ago, I talked about how each time I make a cup of coffee, I do my push-ups against the counter. Tie something to something else you're doing, because you know what? I'm not doing anything while that coffee's brewing anyway. That cup's coming out. I'm just standing there waiting for it. So why not do something? So it's not taking away from my day, not taking away from my time. But I feel so good that at least I'm doing something. Just do something, okay? That's a physical. Next area is mental. This is such a drain. And boy, a lot of this comes out of the media too. We see stuff in the media, then we go crazy in our heads because we take this much of a story. We take a skeleton of a story sometimes, and we start to flesh it in with everything that we think is going on. And suddenly we've totally created a mountain out of a molehill. And so now you're seeing a story this big that's totally freaking you out mentally because, oh my gosh, let's go buy all the toilet paper because we may not get out of our houses for the next 5 months. Which that's another whole topic that I don't understand, the correlation of stocking up on toilet paper to coronavirus, but whatever. I just find it a little bit comical, as you can tell. But anyway, we do that. We get so crazy. We see a bad situation, and again, we're never seeing 100% of the situation. We're seeing a skeleton of it, but we create this whole story around it that might be true. It might be partly true, and it might be totally false. But that story we create becomes our reality and can really totally stress us out. So that's not good for your self-care. That's not the way to take care of yourself. Let the stories go. Instead, it's the whole gratitude idea. Every time you think you want to get sucked into thinking about something negative or something that's a little scary or whatever, figure out what's going to be my go-to. What is something that always makes you happy? A thought, a picture, if it's your children, your grandchildren, your puppy, your motorcycle, whatever it is that makes you really happy, set it up so that it's like right there all the time, so that whenever something negative sneaks in that really threatens your well-being mentally, that you have this as a go-to right away and you start thinking about this. Because guess what? It is absolutely, positively impossible to think about this and think about this at the exact same time. When you shift your thoughts to something positive and something that makes you happy, this disappears. And the more you get in the habit of doing that, the less these things are even going to creep up to begin with. It's not a hard thing to do, but you just have to start doing it. So I'd love to hear if some of these are issues with you, or there are things that you already do, tools you already use to help really keep yourself healthy and take care of yourself. I'd love you to share them. Love to hear it. Share them now or later, but I'd love to hear more about it. Another area besides mental is social. And you all know, because you've heard me talk enough, that I'm like the introvert of introverts. It would be very easy for me to never be with people and think I was okay with that. But I know deep inside I would never be okay with that, because I know how much we all need people. Barbara Streisand told us that years ago, so we should know that, right? Bunny, let's see. Physical mental combo. Stop in the middle of chaos. Step back, breathe in slowly, hold for 2 seconds, and blow out slowly for seconds. Bingo. Is that something you already do, Bunny? I'm guessing that means you already do. And that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's an awesome way to take care of yourself on a daily basis. But social. And right now, at this place in time, maybe for the past week, I have been just personally feeling very disconnected and not really on a higher level, like not wanting to be with people at all. It's been extra, extra hard for me just since the past week to want to be with people at all. I have no idea what's going on. We all go through crap. We all go through stuff different times. This is what I'm going through right now. Right now, I feel very disconnected. Just feel like I don't belong anywhere. It's just weird. No logical explanation. But, you know, especially as women, there are lots of things we feel that have no logic behind them. But because of that, I have to force myself to do that. I have to be parts of groups where I have to show up. I had a meeting this morning. It's a group I started 3 years ago, and I'm president of the group. So I have to show up. If I didn't have to show up, I would still be in bed. I wouldn't have even gotten out of bed to go this morning. So it's very hard. But then when I do it and when I push myself to do it, it's always good. It's always good, because we do need people. And when we get out and we connect with people, it feeds us. It just feeds us in that social way that we need to be fed. And if that's hard for you, or you can't do that, then think of one quality person in your life that you can spend some quality time with, and do that. I did yesterday, go spend the whole day with my mom, and we went and spent the day with my aunt. And it was fabulous. It was like just such a good time, such a good day. But, you know, apart from that, like I said, I just wouldn't even want to go out of the house right now. So that's tough. But we need each other. No matter how much we think we don't, no matter how much we think I'd be happy spending the rest of my life on the sofa with my puppies, I know I wouldn't be. I think that would probably just start to suck me into more and more of a feeling of not belonging anywhere, and maybe a feeling of depression, which is not my nature. But I could easily see it going there if I gave into that all the time. So social is another really, really critical part of your self-care. And for me, that's what I do. I don't just join groups. I join groups and I make sure I get involved in the groups in some kind of a role that forces me to show up. Because if I had no reason that I had to show up, I'd be talking myself out of going. So really, really important. Don't neglect the social part of your life. I know some of you on here are introverts like me and would feel like you would just as soon do the same thing. But how do you feel when you do get out and connect, or you do pick up the phone and talk to somebody? It feeds us in a way that nothing else can. So it's really important. And then the last is spiritual. You know, we all have spiritual needs too. And that doesn't mean Christianity. It doesn't mean, you know, Judaism. It's just anything. We are spiritual beings too. And however we need to fill that too. And whatever that means to you, whether it's a time of meditation daily, if you want to get up. So many people are such big proponents of, you know, the morning meditation. I think it's called The Miracle Morning. I think that was a book. I think it was a book. See, I don't even know enough about it. I know people who do it say it's fabulous. And I've tried so much to do a morning ritual. Maybe it's because I'm not a morning person and I can't get any place quiet to have a really quiet, reflective time in the morning, because my husband's always up before me, way before me. And so he's downstairs watching the news, watching the weather, whatever. So I don't have a place that I can just like really be quiet and do that. And I just don't know if that would be me. So as much as people say how great that is, how awesome it is, I don't know if it's important that you have to do it in the morning, but it's important that you do it. It's important that at some point in the day that you sit somewhere and just be still and just be quiet and meditate on the universe, the goodness around you, the good things in your life. You know, let the gratitudes pour in then too. It's just a good time to be reflective, to just breathe, but to empty your mind of everything else, you know, to just really take time to just reflect. So that's important. So those are the 6 areas, very important. And another challenge that I read about that I thought was a good one too, it's a challenge that can help probably in many of these areas, is to learn to unplug a little bit more. I mean, they say like unplug for a day. I don't know that any of us could unplug from all our media and our social and our technology, our social media, our technology. I don't know we could do it for a whole day, that we wouldn't totally freak out. Let me look here quick. Bunny, on my way to asking for what I need when I'm asked to eat at someone's house, I offer to bring a salad or main side to contribute, but I explain I have some food issues and things that don't agree. Oh, that's good with me. Most people understand. That's setting boundaries, though. That is totally taking care of yourself physically and honoring your needs and not feeling that you're subject to somebody else's. Awesome. Thank you. But unplugging, okay, unplugging not for a day, but I wish we lived in a society where we could at least start to unplug a little bit when we're in the company of other people. There's just not a whole lot that bothers me more than that. I sat at my meeting this morning, and while the gentleman was doing the presentation, I looked around a lot and watched people on their phones. And I don't know if it's generational. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it can be such a lack of respect. If there's something in your business that's going on or something in your personal life that's so critical, you have to address it, leave the room or something. But to just sit there looking like, you're doing stuff on your phone. If I was the speaker and I looked down, it would totally unhinge me and just make me feel like I'd get so distracted I wouldn't be able to do anything, because I feel like, am I so boring that people are just sending texts or checking Facebook or reading emails? I don't know, but it's so disrespectful and it hurts me so badly. Maybe can I challenge you to start there? If you're with other people, don't even take your phone out, because it's funny. I read somewhere that people said, it's bad enough when, people are on their phones when you're out to dinner or anything like that. But they said it's just as disrespectful to people and can make them feel just as neglected and uncared for and disrespected by even just having your phone out. Even if it's on the table, face down, just the fact that you even have your phone out can feel so disrespectful to people. So I challenge you to at least start by unplugging in situations like that. But maybe you can unplug for an hour a day. For an hour a day, you don't watch TV, you don't look at your computer, you don't look at Facebook. Linda says that was driving me crazy too. Linda was at the same meeting as I was this morning, so she knows what I'm talking about. And hey, Judy, how are you? It's start there if you can. And like I said, I'm not saying things don't come up. They do. But if they do, leave the room. Don't disrespect somebody so much that you make them feel like you're totally ignoring them, because that's how they're going to feel, like what I'm saying is not important enough, or I'm not important enough for you to respect me with your time, with your eye contact. It just drives me nuts. So start with that. Build maybe to, like I said, an hour a day, an hour a week, if that's all you can do, where you shut everything down. Go take a bath, light some candles, read a book, go for a walk, do something that's going to feed you in other ways. But again, in all these areas, my big challenge is to figure out in every one of these areas, again, recap them: emotional, practical, physical, mental, social, and spiritual. In every one of these areas, you should be practicing self-care every single day. Like I said, it doesn't mean you have to be spending money. It doesn't mean you have to be spending gobs and gobs of hours. But if you start by writing things down, start by just acknowledging, what can I do to take care of myself emotionally, spiritually, physically, all these things. Little teeny things. Like I said, I don't care if you don't do this. Just do something. Just do something to take care of yourself, because you're going to be better for it. Everything in your life is going to be better for it. But you have to, I guess, first just realize that you need to make yourself a priority, because you're good to nobody, including yourself, if you're not making yourself a priority as far as taking care of yourself. So that's it, man. We're right on time. That's all I've got today. Thank you so much for coming. Judy, I'm sorry you got here late, but I'm glad you got here. Hope you go back and watch the replay. But ladies, have an awesome week. It was great spending Tuesday morning with you again, and I'll see you next week. Bye.